and call the meeting on June 23rd, 2020, at 4 o'clock to order. If there's no discussion, has everybody had the opportunity to look at the previous minutes? Committee members, yes or no?
Yes, I have, and I move
Yes.
to approve.
Second.
Okay, there's been a proper motion and a proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on this and get it done, and we'll do it by a voice vote, and then we'll call. And if the phone starts ringing here at my house, to be honest with you guys, it's an election year, and I love to hear it ring. So that's good, because that's usually a sign location. Anyway, all in favor of the previous minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye. When you call our name.
When I call your name, signify as such. Alderman Campbell
Aye. and
Alderman Roberson,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. Now, tonight, let's go ahead and I was going to see if there was no objection. We could go ahead and look around, see if we could move some of this going fairly quickly. But we'll go. I need to discuss the issue, or we all do, about Waste Pro. So let's go ahead and this evening and discuss that. I know that I think all three of us have had issues with Waste Pro, or just some questions. But I will, if there's no hearing, I'm sure you all will agree. I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to Alderman Roberson, because I know he had some questions about it. So Eddie, if you want to go ahead with it, we can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
and
sir.
I have some questions for staff first. Marshall,
Okay.
We keep either a daily or weekly or monthly tally of complaints against Waste Pro for service problems, do we not?
Yes, sir. We've, and going back, if I just take a moment and explain, we've gone back and, when Republic was with us, we had kind of had a different way of doing it, but it was still in the format of a database. And we kept pretty detailed records going back several years on that. And also when we were considering doing fines against Republic, we compiled that and kind of filtered through, for several months, the number of misses that they had. And the one difference is between Waste Pro, obviously we track it differently with Waste Pro now, and trying to we have information, we can run reports, there's no question about that, but trying to filter through the data. For example, like if sometimes people will call in and report that their trash is missed, and we'll log that. We'll log that into the database. But then in reality, the time of day, they may call in the morning and report their trash missed. Well, it may get picked up that afternoon. And so what we have to do is we have the information, and now we're trying to go through. It'll take a little bit more time, but we're trying to go through and filter out, what is truly a miss, because we don't want to certainly penalize Waste Pro for a call that we received where it really wasn't a miss. Sometimes
Well,
go ahead.
I understand that we want true numbers, but could you share with us just the raw numbers of the complaints or the calls that we are receiving regarding trash service? And I don't know how you break it down by week or month. And with the understanding that you haven't completely scrubbed the numbers. So can you show us any kind of data?
Yeah. What you're looking at now is, if I can move my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
There's a summary of incidents, and this is just a snapshot of September of last year. And this is the report that we ran, and it shows totals per day for the different categories that we have kind of within the reporting system. And so in addition to misses, there may be like a missed bulk item pickup. There may be damaged property. There's a variety of things you can kind of see before you that we report on. And we've run, I'll be happy to email these out. We got these yesterday, but I'll be happy to email these out to the committee and they can kind of peruse at their convenience. But we have, we have every month, we have information like this that we can look at. And
Okay, so remind me, when did Waste Pro begin service in the city?
July of, it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was July of last year.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the numbers that we're seeing, these are daily complaints. Is that correct? Of almost almost a year ago.
Yes.
Now, do you have any current data?
Yes. Yeah, we do. I just happen to pull up this September's information, but I can.
Can you pull up the most current data that you've got?
Okay. Can y'all, did it change at all or is it still the same?
No, it's the same.
Okay, let's see. Okay. This is June. This is June's up until now, but and it shows the totals, for each day. And that is the number of calls.
And do you have the ability to record duplicate complaints? For example, if somebody complained last week and they complained again this week?
Yes, yeah. We can sort it by address, I believe, and so we can go into an address and it'll tell us, okay, for this address, they had a call this week, they had a call last week, and it'll show a history for that specific address.
Okay.
And what the complaint was.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make as a regular part of the Public Works Committee that each month we receive a report from Public Works on the previous month's complaints by day, just so that we can monitor the situation. And that'll be kind of as not a formal presentation, but just as information that will come with our packets so that we can keep abreast of the trend analysis of complaints.
Okay. Alderman Campbell, do you have any issue with that?
No, I don't have an issue with that. I just want to make sure also that we also get the complaints for like an oversized garbage can that they want to have picked up behind the house. It should be taken to the curb. And also if it's under a carport or under a carport next to the car, against a wall that might cause a property damage issue with the car or whatever, the house in question. Some people just don't really want to take a large can to the street. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 something years, living here at our home. We have a 96-gallon container. Been doing it when Republic had it, been doing it with Waste Pro. And all my neighbors take their stuff to the street as well. And then also, but I think those are some of the issues and also there are people that want service twice a week. We're giving it once a week. And I've had people tell me, well, I'll just call it in as a miss. And I'm like, really? Mm-hmm. So I think we still got a job to do here of educating our constituents on the actual rules and regulations related to trash service. And I'd like to see us put on our city's website a button that someone could push, have it all right there in front of them where they don't have to go to Public Works. They don't have to click down to waste or solid waste or garbage, however we have it listed, and then go through a long, issue of trying to get to the information. I think it should be readily available since this is a new service and we've got some new features that we do because we pick up the yard clippings. There's still people that think the Waste Pro is going to pick up the yard clippings. Dispose of them. I had a call today from a guy. He'd spoken to our personnel at City Hall 2 weeks in a row, and he was disappointed in that he couldn't get someone to stop by his house to pick up his waste clippings that are bagged up sitting on the curb for 2 weeks now, turning the ground brown. And he's called it in and talked with our person that's over that. And he said, they still haven't been here to pick it up Campbell. So what about, he said he was gonna bring it up to City Hall. I said, no, I'll be getting it to Marshall and Trace tomorrow.
What's his address, Pat?
102 Carroll. 102 Carroll Drive. I was gonna just send it to you, but I'll tell you since you asked me. Anyways, it's things like that, you know, and then also, Marshall, the lady I showed you right out of the gate that has the 396 gallon tip carts and 255 gallon barrel containers of yard waste every week.
Right.
Disposed of. She's 82 years old, lives in Ward 2. And as you called it, I showed you the unicorn of Hendersonville when it comes to yard waste. There it was. So there's no way she can drag all that to the street. And the old company used to walk down her driveway and go behind her gate and take it out of her backyard and haul it to the truck and take it back. So we've had to address that issue ourselves as a city. So I think we still got some work to do on yard waste and how we handle it as a city to make our people happy. So,
Let me finish. I think those are excellent comments, Alderman Campbell, and I concur with it. We just don't need the numbers, but we need some kind of root cause analysis. We need to understand, you know, what these numbers represent. And so anything, Marshall, that the staff can do to provide us more accurate and meaningful information on that. I mean, one of the main responsibilities, I think, of BOMA members, of aldermen, is a legislative function of oversight. And the other members of BOMA, and I think the public in general, is looking to this committee to try to ensure that we have as good a service as possible. You know, everybody understands there's going to be some misses. So Marshall, does the company give you explanations on each of these complaints that you submit to them?
Yes. Yeah, there'll be, normally there's a resolution, like when they go in and, you know, we report the miss, and then the company has to, I can't remember what the word is, but they'll go into the same system and resolve it. And so usually within that resolution, there's an explanation of whatever happened. There'll be a comment explaining that.
So after you get the comment, do you put a designation on the complaint, whether it's chargeable or non-chargeable, or some distinction to make that to be able to discern what the raw numbers mean?
Not yet. We haven't right now. They can correct me if I'm wrong, but right now there's no really spot for that. Obviously, we can go back and look at each one and determine if it was truly a miss, or if there was some some other explanation for that. But it's all the information is contained, within the database.
Yeah. So Lori, Mr. Chairman, may I ask the question of Waste Pro?
By all means, go ahead.
Lori?
Yes, sir.
So what kind of analysis and intervention does the company do when they get these complaints?
Well, data is good and data is bad. With this, unfortunately, some of the data that we're receiving, it's inaccurate. We're receiving something that may be logged as a residential new customer, but in fact is a miss. Or we're getting something that says that it's a residential miss when in fact it's just a residential new customer. So I want to point out that the key to utilizing the system is that all of the data goes in there correctly on the front end. That gives us much better results on the back end. Secondly, you could sit there and you could log the same address 10 times in the same day. It doesn't need to be logged in. You can check the database each time before you enter it in to make sure that it's not already been logged for the day. So that can skew the numbers. As far as how we handle the situations, I mean, the problem with, and I've given this some thought, after looking back on backdoor collection, after basically almost a year's service, we don't have body cameras on our staff. We can't prove everything. You can in curbside collection. When the truck goes driving down the road and it's got an image of the cart at the curb, that's one thing. But when our guys go and they service something back door and our driver pulls away and in the rear view mirror that he sees the homeowner putting out 4 bags behind him when he's already serviced that house, and then a miss gets called in for that, we have no proof in that. We have no proof that our guy collected it. We have no proof that the homeowner's putting out extra waste. We're in a little bit of a predicament as far as the service here. It just of what can be proven and what can be proven, to be frankly honest. So I want to say that as far as how we're addressing the misses, if we have misses that are showing up, chronically, we've got lists that we've got those on, we've got supervisors checking those to go behind, to check situations. We have list of some, say, homeowners, homeowners that are just constantly having issues that we know we have to make sure that service is provided there. I mean, we get called back for a missed home that garbage hasn't been collected at homes, and there will supposedly in like 10, 12 days, and there will be a kitchen grocery bag with 1 yogurt container in it. We've had some interesting circumstances out there, and I don't want the numbers that you may receive to skew how you're looking at the performance of Waste Pro.
Well, let me ask you, Lori, is one of the complaints that you receive a lot is the misunderstanding, as Alderman Campbell mentioned, that the 96-gallon container will not be picked up at the side of the house, but it has to be at the street per the contract?
Yes, we have a lot of homeowners that are still under the impression that 96-gallon is to be serviced at the back door, and that it's our fault if it doesn't.
Yeah, now I know that that's in the contract. There's no question
Right.
that that's in the contract, but I want to ask the company for goodwill and for going the extra mile. Would the company consider waiving that requirement in the contract and picking up the 96-gallon containers from the side of the house? I know that there's nothing that we can force you to do it, but would the company consider doing that as a goodwill gesture to kind of address some of the confusion and the understanding of customers?
Unfortunately, I'm going to say that, that's above my pay grade, that decision. But I can tell you that from a serviceability standpoint, the people that have large, not just one 96-gallon container at their back door, but the people that have 4 and 5, that the rates that you ask for as a city to provide servicing 4 or 5 containers at the back door is in a whole different ballpark of pricing than servicing potentially 1 container at the back door. Mainly because some of the back door customers may have a driveway that's 200, 300 yards long, and then they've got 5 garbage cans sitting back there. That's where the situation, you do it for one, or you try to do it out of goodwill, and all of a sudden it opens up a tremendous expense and a tremendous just increase in time. I mean, think about it. If your driveway is 100 yards long and we've got to walk down, get a container and come back, walk down and get another one and come back, just the hours and the manpower to accomplish that task, that would increase. And that's why I say, I mean, I think any service can be provided, but all services come at a cost. So I don't foresee that could be done. Unfortunately, I think we're sitting in a position where we followed a previous company who didn't follow its own contract, did whatever they wanted, and then we're behind it. We're actually doing what, say, the contract calls for, and that's just causing a few bumps and bruises along the road. But I can check. I mean, I can look into the option of that, of changing that service and
Yeah, and-
absolutely come back to the committee with that.
Yeah, and maybe the other two members, the chairman and Alderman Campbell, but I would make that request that since this
All right,
is
thank you.
such an
Thank you
issue
very
in
much.
our city for whatever reason, that you talk to the company to see as a goodwill gesture.
All right, thank-
And, you know, I think that would go a long way in helping residents feel better about the service. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I think that's all I have to.
All right, thank you. What we can do,
Mr. Chairman, can I speak a little bit too about that?
oh, absolutely, because I still have some issues with it, but go ahead, Alderman Campbell.
I was just gonna say, I realize the 96-gallon container is an issue there, but one of the problems you have with the old company is they also have the tipping fee or the transfer fee. They get $1 million plus a year to transfer the garbage. Waste Pro carries it down there to them in Nashville. They dump it on their lot. They haul it off to wherever it's going to landfill. Is that not correct, Waste Pro?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought. I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So when the former company was hauling off our trash, they didn't mind picking up all kinds of things that should not have been in that garbage can, because they realized, on top of the nice contract they had with the city of Hendersonville for picking up that trash, they were also going to be putting basically, I'm going to talk like I do, a little gravy on top of that contract with that $1 million plus tipping fee, transfer fee. The heavier the truck, they got $45 a ton, and that $45 accumulates to over $1 million a year. And still to this day, they like that heavy truck coming on their lot to get over $1 million a year for that transfer fee that they get from us. So I know with our situation, we were trying to lighten the load of the truck a little bit, but basically all we did was went from 2 loads a week to 1 load a week. Still have the same heavy truck, if not even a little heavier. We took out the yard waste, which has caused a lot of problem and confusion for our constituents. We've got to work that out as a committee in a city, and I put it all together because it's all together. We can't separate yard waste from garbage. We can't say, oh, recycling's over here. Recycling is just a thought for the moment. Get recycling, that's great. But right now, it's just a thought. So it's all going in the garbage can. It's being transferred, and I think we really need to look at we can get a price from them for dragging 96-gallon containers to the street and taking them back. But at the end of the day, how many, I'm going to ask Waste Pro, how many houses does one truck service in a day on this contract? Approximately. I mean, it might be a variation among your drivers, but I'm just trying to get an approximate.
One truck services between 375 to 425, depends on which day.
Okay, and that truck usually has 1 or 2 employees on it, most
Yeah.
likely. So you're asking to run up and down those 200-foot, 300-foot driveways, or in some cases it might be 15, it might be 30.
And
And
they're
then you've
also,
got to go run around looking for the garbage can too, because some people are going to have it on the side of their driveway next to the garage door. And other people are going to have it around back next to the maintenance shed they got out in their backyard or whatever. And then other people are going to strap it to the deck, and then other people are going to do other things with it. Because I've seen it all. I even have a constituent who driveways to the left of the house, but their garbage cans are over on the right hand side by the central heating air unit, which behind some bushes. That blew my mind when I saw them. And I had to explain to them that was not the way the contract. I said, you're going to have to put your cans on the side of your driveway. That's where the garbage men are looking for, because they were complaining. They had misses and they were complaining. I had to explain it. But I think we've got to do a better job as a city of explaining our contract to our constituents. And that's why I would like to see it be so easy to go on our website. And when someone calls City Hall, they can go and look it up, or we can have a call, one of those tags they get, put on the container. Hey, here's your reason why we didn't come service you today, to where they can see that. And here's the information why we didn't get to you, or we didn't take your trash today. I mean, there's a lot more education that needs to be involved here about this, because it is totally different from what we used to have. And it's just causing a lot of heartache right at the moment. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you thank you for your comments. Thank you all for all your comments. I will say this: we will we'll have it in our packets as Alderman Robertson corrected. If there's no objection, I'll let Marshall to just send it to us and look. Is that a problem? It shouldn't be, but
Not at all.
No.
okay.
Chairman Skidmore, can I ask for something also?
Yes.
Sorry about that. Appreciate that.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
All right.
Sorry to step away for a little bit.
That's cool.
I want some help from Waste Pro folks, is that we've heard some of the reasons that complaints shouldn't be considered as valid. But 2 weeks ago on New Shackle Island Road, there were a lot of trash cans that were left full at the edge of at the curb, not just on New Shackle, but also some of the neighborhoods behind there. I asked for an explanation and never got one. It was picked up Saturday morning, but the contract says it needs to be picked up for those folks on Friday before 8 p.m. To me, that seems like that's something that is legitimate, and that is something that we should penalize you for. Why shouldn't we?
I'll be happy to explain. Well, in regard to the lack of response, we as a company have been directed to go through Public Works for our communication. So we are following what we've been instructed to do, which is to go through Public Works. So we are following that as far as our communication regarding any issues. Secondly, regarding collection, we've pulled the tonnage that we've collected as a company during the last several months of this contract. And to give you an idea, in the month of May alone, we were picking up over 20 pounds per home more at every home. That is with the removal of bulk collection. Due to the COVID situation and so many people at home, that right there is an act of God. That is a global pandemic. And pretty much that changes the course of our contract. And to say that there may be a circumstance, we were aware of the circumstances of what was left on the ground. Our team is communicating with Public Works regarding these situations, and they are resolved very quickly the next morning. But when we price this contract and we promise service, we promise service based on a historical amount of waste to be collected at every home. That is not 20 pounds heavier. That is physically not feasible to collect the 20 pounds extra without an occasional hiccup. And we have done a fantastic job during this unfortunate situation that our country has experienced, and we're getting the garbage up. And so to consider fining us when companies across the country are increasing their rates to their municipal customers for an increase in service, I don't see it as a possible option. That is 20 pounds per home, 20.
Okay, so help me understand. So the reason that, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if we had been collecting bulk, I would love to see the numbers based on bulk collection in the city of Hendersonville, where the numbers would have been per home during this time.
So last Friday, the reason you missed 100 to 200 homes was because of an act of God?
It was actually 56 homes.
I think you're off there.
And I'm saying that the COVID itself is an act of God. It's a global pandemic. And we, as a company and as an industry, have been faced with a battle that I don't think this industry has ever seen before, as far as how to handle the amount of waste collected, about handling and safely removing waste from this city, and just addressing that situation. As I said, there's going to be circumstances that may arise, and we're fully aware of the situation, and we're communicating what that is. I also considering the fact that we're picking up roughly 20 pounds per home, and that we've had an occasional issue, like you mentioned on that Friday, to vary significantly from our predecessors that were leaving 400 to 500 homes on the ground per day at the final period of their contract, when they were just collecting the average amount of trash generated in the city. So I do think that the circumstances are a little different for this situation. And we always do our best as a team to communicate with Marshall, make him aware. That way, if there's any calls coming in, that his team is prepared at City Hall, should anything come in, so that they can communicate out what the situation may be and how it's going to be handled.
Yeah, I find that answer very unsatisfactory.
I apologize that my answer is unsatisfactory. I guess that's where we disagree. But unfortunately, that's the circumstances that we're in. That, I mean, I have the tonnage reports to provide. I mean, I know what we've submitted. I know Marshall has the tonnage reports on his end. The data is there to prove a change. You also have to take into consideration, we don't have yard waste. I mean, we're picking up significant amounts of garbage in this city regarding just the circumstances that we're under right now.
All right, well, thank you. Mayor, do
Thank
you
you.
have
Thank-
anything else on this?
No, thank you, Chairman.
You sure? Okay. Thank you for, your,
Quick
I
question.
only have
Did the mayor
one,
his,
I only have
video-
like two, sir, say again?
That's a quick question. Did the mayor have his video off just then? Because I never did see his video pop up on my screen.
Hey, Pat, why does that matter for me? I've been on video the whole time. Why is that a big deal? Why is that an issue?
Well, I
in
mean,
front
I
of
like to
public?
see the people talking. They usually pop up on my screen who's ever in queue to talk. I mean, I usually
Been on
see it.
video the whole time.
So, I mean, I'm just curious why it didn't pop up to you. Maybe it's something weird that I need to flip some button or something here. I don't know. Trying to figure that out because I didn't see you. I could hear you, but I couldn't see it.
It's interesting we're talking about people whose trash has been missed constantly, and your biggest concern is that I wasn't on video.
Oh, no, sir. That's not my biggest concern. I was just curious where you were at. That's all.
I don't know, but we'll check into
Very
the,
concerned about trash, sir. Been concerned about since from day one, since I've been on this contract. So let's, if you'd like to discuss that, we can talk about yard waste and everything else. I mean, let's just have a big discussion. If you'd
well,
like.
we probably will. When we get through the budget process and we get everybody get caught up, because yes, it's true, we've had some problems with the virus going around. Obviously, I would be a fool to say that we have not. My only two things, I want to make sure that Marshall, that we can do this, and I know we can, on Alderman Roberson's issue with what we had spoken about earlier. If he could just be included in our packet.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, we'll try to find a way to, you mentioned the root cause analysis. We'll try to, try to look at that data that it's what
We'll just give him what we've got. I mean, all of us, not just Alderman Roberson, but what you have. I mean, that could do it, and then let all three of us look at it. And Mayor, do you get one of these already, Mayor, or not?
we just want to make sure it's meaningful data.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I was going to ask the mayor if he got one, but if he didn't, we might want to include the mayor's office into this.
I don't see him on the video list right now, Mark, so he must have stepped away and turned his computer off for a moment.
And Dave Lamar has raised his hand.
Oh, okay. I only have two questions, but let's go ahead and get everybody else first, and then I'll follow up at the end. Dave, did you have something to say, bud?
Yeah, just a real quick question for Richie and Lori. And again, I know there's some questions about pickup in this area. What is your estimate on the legitimate complaints per day? Say it's 19,000 households in Hendersonville. You guys are picking up what, 3,000 a day total, 3,500 a day? Something along those lines.
I would say when we get there, we have a lot of complaints that our drivers are taking the trash bag and tearing a hole in it. Most of it's yard waste that we go back and check, or loose garbage at the back door. Because they don't bag their garbage at the back door. They have a lot of loose garbage at the back door. And there's no way for our guys to carry loose garbage from the back of the house up to the front.
Yeah. How many, I just out of curiosity, how many, you just estimate legitimate complaints a day do you think there are? I mean, if you get 50 calls a day, how many of those are legitimate misses and something that has been screwed up?
Out of 50, I would say 30.
Yeah.
Like today so far, we've had 23. What I could just look at, if you take out the new homes, one of them was, left bag by back porch. That was probably overflow at the back door. So that knocks it down to 15. That's what we had today. If you look, they are coming down some each day. Once people go back to work, everything gets back normal. We will be back down to 9 to 12 a day like we was before the virus started.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much and appreciate your attendance this evening. I appreciate that, Dave.
No problem.
Any other discussion on your, or questions or comments with regards to Waste Pro? Alderman Roberson, does that meet your satisfaction about us putting that in on our packets?
Yeah, I think it does. I just want us to be diligent as far as our oversight
Sure.
responsibility. And I think the company, I can understand the extra workload because of the COVID-19 and the extra trash that you're picking up. I don't want to be unreasonable, but I feel that we not only have a fiduciary responsibility, but also a service responsibility to our citizens. And to be able to tell citizens when they complain, well, we get reports every month. We look at reports every month on, that lets them know that we're keeping our eye on the ball. So thanks, Waste Pro, for all you do, and also for considering the suggestion that I offered. Thank you.
All right, good. All right, and Andy Gilly, or Mr. Gilly, did you have any questions or anything?
No, sir. I'm just along for the ride. Waste
Great.
Pro is very helpful to us in the park, helping us with event boxes and dumpsters when we need them and moving things around. That I can't. I say it's a different level than the company was before. So
Okay, thank you. And here's my final comments, and then we'll move on.
Hi there.
Well, first of all, thank you, Andy, for giving your comments. It's good to see you, Lori and Richie, both of y'all.
Yes, sir. Hope you're doing well.
We're doing okay. I'm doing all right. How about y'all? Y'all doing good?
Hold on 1 second.
A lot of hours.
I understand.
I'm ready for everybody to go back to work.
Hey, boy, I think a lot of us are that way. I
Yes.
wanted to say one thing. If the mayor was still online, I didn't see him, but if he is, I was going to ask him if he needed anything on there. But if we don't hear from him, he'll probably come back in a minute.
Yeah, Chairman Skidmore, I'm on the next column of the speakers, so you can't see me.
Okay.
I think this is helpful. I think this is helpful. I look forward to hearing the response from Alderman Robertson's suggestion.
Okay. Well, thank you. My only thing is that I have, are you all are starting bulk collection back yet? Or are we still under the coronavirus thing?
Yes, we started it back.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes,
And
sir.
my next question is, and I'm assuming you all already had picked it up. I have a lady she's a little bit older than I am. Let's just put it that way, say it politically correct, at 124 Gates. And she always calls me when she's been missed, but and I understand those things happen. But just if you would tell the people over there that go pick up her trash to look at it. She either puts it, she's tried to help as best as she is because she can't walk very well. But instead of putting it, I hope she's not watching this on YouTube. I just got, she's going to give me a good cussing. But she'll either put it at the side of the house or then it still is at the back. But she had been missed a couple of times. And excuse me, over there on Gates, I can see how that can happen because it's kind of it's just a different kind of, I mean, it's a nice road and everything because Public Works paved it. So it's a real beautiful road, but the way her house is positioned, I can see sometimes that maybe the trash pickup can miss her house. But if y'all would try to just kind of keep an eye on that and make sure she does get picked up like everybody else, I know that she would appreciate it, and I know that I would too.
Yes, sir.
And that's at 124.
Yeah, okay. I will add a note on the route sheet tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you guys went and picked it up. I called City Hall and Public Works, and then I think they shot you all an email. And I have not heard back from her. And so I'm assuming that you all went on ahead and picked it up. So other than that, that's all I have at this point. I will say this, I think this is my personal feeling on the garbage issue. I think you're going to see Alderman Robertson, if we go back and look from where we were and where we are now, you're going to see things that are, I think you'll be very pleased. I think that it's going to show you how the reduction of missed calls have started since the beginning and where they are now. I have never seen anything, but I've just got a feeling based on my phone calls here at the house. I have seen they've been dramatically reduced over the following year. So, and I know the summer's coming and there'll be some that'll miss, but I think it's a good idea for us to see that as a committee. And if we do have a problem, we'll still have Richie and Lori there to talk about it. But anyway, other than that, I get, if no one has any other discussion on that, and this was a big thing that the mayor brought up, and I was going to ask you, because I didn't know anything about this because it wasn't in my area of town, but so of the 56 homes that were missed, did you all go back and pick it up or did you wait till next week?
We picked it up Saturday morning. It was collected by 7:30. Now, if I'm not mistaken, one of the streets were downwind of the house fire that day.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know. Because I was wondering how that could happen. I know that the previous people that we had, they missed several subdivisions there at the end.
Yeah.
But I just didn't, the
It's
56, I don't know how that could have happened.
it's actually a miss, if that's what you want to call it. We was aware of it.
Right.
At the end of the day, the truck went and dumped. It came back. By the time that it got full again, the landfill's closed.
I got you. So you don't have anywhere to take the garbage, really? After
4:30 in the afternoon, no, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, Mayor, for pointing that out, because that was considerable about a misses. And thank you, Alderman Roberson, for your information, as well as Alderman Campbell, because it's always good to have the insight of what's going on, not only in my district, but for the whole city as a whole. So I appreciate y'all letting me know your comments on that. If there's no other discussion, we'll move on to the next one.
Chairman Skidmore?
Yes, ma'am.
I did want to say something, because the reason we've looked at the volumes of what's being disposed of is for that very reason. When you're trying to get everything collected and you're within the time restraints of the transfer station in Nashville, those things play a factor.
And DOT hours.
And so when you're trying to get all of that done, all of that falls into place during, normal tonnages, normal amounts of waste. But when all of that is drastically increased, the logistics of everything and trying to get all of that done, it plays a part.
Sure, and I appreciate
that may not be an excuse, but it's a very key part of what makes the waste circle happen.
Well, it's reality. It's reality. Under, and I can imagine that the tonnage has increased for you guys because of the virus. People are staying home. They're going to Walmart or to Kroger's and getting their stuff and staying home. And so that does add to your tonnage weight. But you're right on that. I had not even thought of that at all until you just said it, about that could have been a possibility of a problem. But let's just hope that we don't miss that many again, and then we're not back here asking again what's going on. But thank you, guys. Is there no other further discussion with Lori or Richie this evening? All right. Well, you're pretty unscathed this evening. So you all have a good evening and keep picking up the waste, and we appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. You all are welcome to stay if you want.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Bye-bye now. Okay. The next thing we've got actually is, we'll just keep going, is the Stone Ridge Phase 1, Section 2, Section 3 and 4. It's a surety release.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All right. There's been a second. Marshall, do you want to talk about this? Is there any issue on it?
No, sir. This is a typical, street acceptance that we go through, and we bring it before we go to planning commission.
Okay, thank you very much. There's been a motion and a proper discussion, and a proper second, and there's been discussion. Is there anyone else have any discussion on this issue? Hearing none. Is everybody ready to vote? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye when I say aye, and all opposed no, and then we'll have a roll call vote afterwards. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed say no. It looks like it passes unanimously, but we will have a roll call vote. Alderman Campbell,
Aye.
Alderman Roberson,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye as well, so it passes unanimously. So you can, Marshall, you can let that thing go when you get a chance on that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the next one is to, we're moving pretty good. So we'll go ahead with Resolution 2020-32, which is a resolution to apply for the State of Tennessee Tourism Enhancement Grant. Now, is that, who does that fall under, Marshall or Andy or anyone?
That's mine, Chairman
Okay.
Skidmore.
I move approval.
Second.
Okay, there's been a proper motion by Alderman Roberson and a second by Alderman Campbell. Now let's have discussion. Go ahead, Marshall.
I don't have any.
Oh, it's mine, Chairman Skidmore.
Okay, okay, Andy. All right.
This is a grant from the state for $75,000. It must be used towards a project that would be bringing in tourism. Currently, my plan would be to apply for this grant to go along with the construction of the new inline hockey rinks. You have to match it $75,000. That project is way over $75,000, so there would be no issue there. That's the current plan.
All righty. If we're awarded this, when do they give it to you? Immediately, or do you know?
Get it pretty quickly, and you have 2 years to complete the project.
Great. Okay. All right. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. I'm really glad you applied for that grant. That sounds like a winner right there.
We shall see. Thank
All
you.
right. Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Okay. Is
also-
everybody ready to vote on this?
This will also, Mr. Chairman, this will be going to BOMA tonight as well.
Oh, great. Okay. So does it have to go anywhere else?
I think it might be on the Finance Committee agenda, but the grant deadline is July 15th.
Ooh,
It's a very
okay. It's
short
close.
window, so that's why we had to kind of fast track it.
All right. We'll definitely there's been a motion made to approve and to move on to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And there's been a proper second. Is there any further discussion on this issue? Hearing none. Is everybody ready to vote? Does anybody need the motion repeated? Okay, we will have a voice vote as well. All in favor signify by on this resolution, signify by saying aye.
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 Robert Robertson,
Aye.
and I say aye as well. Now we'll have a roll call vote on this. Alderman Campbell,
Aye.
Alderman Robertson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye itself. It has been approved unanimously, and we will move this on to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen this evening. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Andy.
Yes, sir.
And now we have, Mr. Green may still be here on this one, a resolution to authorize the submittal of an application for a community development block grant. Any discussion on this?
So moved.
Planning?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Now discussion. Is Mr. Green in here? Or did he leave?
Yes, he's here.
All right, how are you? Where is it? I don't see him. He could be down there hiding.
Hey.
Lurking in the
Hey,
shadows.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
There he
Hey,
is. There's Grant.
Yes, this is our annual application. Having some Wi-Fi issues here in the office, so it may be cutting in and out, but
There you
essentially
are.
this is our annual application. We've had some coronavirus funds added into this. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. You're doing good. You're doing good. How about it?
I think I'm
Can
cutting
you hear
in a
me?
little bit.
There you go. You're
But
doing
this
good.
is our annual.
Not so good now.
Yeah, can't hear you.
Uh-oh. Okay, I raised my computer here.
There you go.
Let me jump in there with Marshall and go in his office. He's got better service in here.
All righty. Did everybody have a good day today?
Yeah, pretty good. Can't complain. Drove downtown, did 3 or 4 calls.
There he is. There's Marshall.
that,
I mean,
Yes, sir. And I'm not sure how much of that came through, if any, but that's our annual application for the CDBG grant. And for this year, we've slated the project funds to go toward Senior Center final phase 3, or the third and final phase of that, which includes HVAC and air purification at the Senior Center. And some of that is with the extra coronavirus funds that we received. Then we also have I think about 169,000 slated for street, sidewalk, and drainage improvements.
oh, that's wonderful. All right. Any discussion? Anybody want to talk to Grant on this?
Yeah, Grant, this is Eddie. So of the 160,000 for street and sidewalk improvements, how much of that is actually going for street improvements? Can you break that down?
We actually have not chosen a project for that as of yet. We've just kind of got it slated. It does have to go in LMI areas, the low to moderate income tracts, mainly on the western side of the city, around Old Shackle and south of West Main. Some areas in there. It's pretty limited, but we do have to use it toward like a reconstruction type project or a sidewalk addition or something of that nature. So we are open on that as of now. We kind of preliminarily talked about Old Shackle and adding a sidewalk there, but we haven't confirmed anything on that yet, and we're open to suggestions.
So, Mr. Chairman, when planning comes up with a specific plan, will that be brought back to the committee?
Yes, it'll be back here. It'll be back in Public Works.
All right, thank you. That's all.
All right, thank you. I don't know. Is this your first block grant, Eddie? I don't know. I think it is actually.
I think last year I was involved on it, so
Okay.
I have some familiarity with it. I just wanted to.
Sure. Most of the block grants like that are dealing with planning, especially with this, they do come back to Public Works because a lot of them are Public Works issues, so, but that was a good question if you didn't know it. But yeah, well done. Anything, Alderman Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I was just curious. Grant, when you get through I know you have to draw a geographical spot on a map. Could you possibly get that to us, maybe email it to us so we'll have an idea as to the exact areas that you're looking at to do those improvements at? I mean, over the years, I know that I always know roughly where it's at, and some of it comes over to wards 1 and 2 and 3, and it might go over to ward 6 some too. I think it does a little bit in ward 6. So anyways, just curious if you might share that with us all. So thank you.
Yeah, be not a problem at all. And it's census defined tracts, so it's essentially what are they considered the low to moderate income areas, which technically Hendersonville doesn't have any that are standard low to moderate income areas per census requirement or HUD requirements, but due to that we have to assign essentially the lowest tracts in our consolidated plan, the ones that are considered the lowest income tracts of that, but fortunately we don't have anything considered truly low to moderate.
Sure. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Any other discussion on this? Okay, there's been a proper motion. Andy, you have anything, brother?
No, sir. Good.
All right. Mayor, are you with us any? I don't want to leave you out.
I appreciate that. No, I'm good. Appreciate it.
Okay, but not a problem. All right, there's been a motion, a proper second. Hearing no more issue of discussion. Is everybody ready to vote? Does anybody need the motion on the resolution 2020-34 repeated? Hearing none. We will be having a voice vote as well on this. When I call your name, signify by saying whether you vote for it, and then we'll go through with the motion of roll call. All in favor of resolution 2020-34 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
Alderman Roberson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. It passes unanimously. And I guess this will go on to the Board of Aldermen. I'm not sure. Does anybody know whether it goes on tonight?
No, it goes
Okay.
14th.
All right, good deal. All right. Our next, thank you, Mr. Green. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Now, if Marshall can switch it on to the next. That was passed unanimously, Marshall. Our next one is the, there's been, this is a good one. This is a real good one, actually. There's been a request by the residents of the city to replace the brick pavers at the entrance to Blue Ridge subdivision. I believe the mayor had brought this to our committee's attention. Mayor, do you want to say anything on this, or do you want me to just go into detail on it?
Sure. My wording is poor. What they've asked is to either pull out the brick pavers or to pave over them. They don't want those brick pavers there any longer. I say they. That's the people who have contacted me. One of the things that I suggest is that they get together as an HOA and give us some direction on that.
Yes, sir.
As you all well know, you change something in one subdivision and then you're going to find out who is opposed to it. So I really encourage them to speak to HOA and give us some direction as how the HOA board feels. We haven't heard back from them. I thought we might have a couple people on the call this afternoon, but I just want to give you an idea. That's sort of what they're looking for. Marshall, and I'll turn it over to you. I think Trace sort of gave us a number of what that would probably cost the city.
I think you did. And Mayor, I was gonna let you know, there was a group of ladies that came into the parking lot, I think trying to get in the building for the meeting, didn't realize it was on Zoom.
Oh, I'm glad you spoke with them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, what we'll do, Mayor, if you don't have any objection to this, and then we'll ask the committee if they have anything. First of all, what was Trace's, how much money was it, did he say?
I don't have that number in front of me.
It's okay if you do.
If y'all keep talking, I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I will say, just from I guess historical perspective, you know, the pavers are considered an amenity for a subdivision, much like the pavers were in Glenbrook, and we don't. And again, you know, historically speaking, you know, we don't as a city maintain an amenity, you know, for a subdivision.
True.
Not to. I mean,
Well, I tell you what, I don't know what the feeling of the committee is at this point. I don't know if you need to go look at the pavers, but I'm very familiar with the ones that are there since I voted years and years ago. I'm starting to show my age on Blue Ridge. That was back in the 90s. I would say that we probably need to wait until the HOA makes a decision on, because we may find out that they do want them, the majority of the people. But that's just me.
Hey, Chairman Skidmore, we've got a couple ladies that would like to be in on the Zoom call. I think they're waiting in the waiting room right now.
Okay.
Tina, do you see them?
No, sir, there's nobody in the waiting room.
Chairman Skidmore?
Yes.
I would agree. I think that the HOA would want to take a vote of their members and then bring it to the city of Hendersonville to allow us to know for sure what their vote was before we start making a major change to the entrance to their subdivision. So it's just my thoughts.
And Mr. Chairman, there are two entrances. I went over and rode on them today. Not bad shape. I mean, nothing like it was Glenbrook, but there are two entrances to the subdivisions that have these brick pavers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what we'll do, Mayor, have they already left? you know?
They need me to send them the link,
Okay.
and they're watching us on YouTube, but they need a link
I
to
see.
join the
Will they be
Zoom.
signing up for citizen comments? We've got that open for basically anybody who needs to register, you know, name, phone number, address,
Mhm.
etc.
So Tina, if I just send them the link that I have, would they then end up in the waiting room for this meeting?
They would, but that doesn't answer my question about registration. In other words, do we normally have citizens at committee meetings do the same thing as BOMA as far as name, address, that sort of thing? That's the question.
Not usually.
Okay,
Okay, sorry about that. So
that's
I'm
okay. I just
gonna,
wasn't sure.
okay. I am gonna find this link.
I do like your procedure though, Mr. Chairman, to instruct those residents to contact their HOA and let the HOA come to us with any kind of request.
All right, well, thank you. I'll tell you what, well, thank you, Alderman Robinson. I appreciate that. What we'll do then, Mayor, is if they, we've got probably roughly just a little bit, an hour, which is real, we're working really hard and quick, which I'm grateful for. If you catch them somehow and let them know, you can alert it and we can come back to this.
Okay,
Is that okay with you?
that sounds like a great plan.
Okay. Since there's no objection, we'll go ahead and move on.
And that link-
And we'll just wait on and talk to these ladies when they if they are able to get on. The next one, I was looking at all the rest of it, but it all really applies to the, let's go ahead and talk about the resolution 2018-31. It will, before I even say that, if there's no objection, we're going to kind of, the last 2 or 3, we're going to go ahead and skip to, and then we'll come back to some of the stormwater stuff because that may take a lot of time. But this next one is a resolution 2014. It's about the Sabley Drive. I don't know. We were just at it on our agenda. I guess this may be it right here, actually. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that, the mitigation grant to purchase the properties that are located on Sabley Court.
Yes, sir. $1.2 million total, I think it is.
I think, yeah, but actually it's our portion of it,
Okay.
which is about, I think 380, but I'm not sure.
It
It
is.
is,
I'm looking
okay.
at it. It's 380.
All right, so we'll go ahead and talk about this. Marshall, do you want to go ahead with it?
Yeah, I'll let you know, staff is working with the homeowners and TEMA and FEMA to kind of get all the documents we need. There was a change that we found out about, this past week that FEMA has changed one of the forms they want us to complete. So we have to fill that out and get it submitted. And that's held us up a little bit, but we're going through the process, and it's kind of a tedious process, but we are make sure we've dot our I's and cross our T's and do what we're supposed to get the funding that we need. But right now there's about 4 or 5 homes that have expressed interest in the buyout. And again, this is a completely voluntary program. Not everyone has to do it. But
Right.
I think there's some residents that have elected not to do it, and which is perfectly fine. And then there's some that do want to do it, and we're moving forward with those as quickly as we can to make offers. I know Mr. John Bradley is doing a lot of the title work and is going to assist us with closing. But we're just trying to get to the point where we can make an official offer. So, sorry, Pat, you can go.
Oh, you're fine. I just want to mention that we have a total of 29 properties through TEMA on that list that they're looking at purchasing. So it's a pretty good size list of homes, 29 homes. So they can go across it.
Right. Yeah, and Pat, you pointed out the fact that there's obviously homes that have flood insurance and they're routinely damaged every year from rain. And from FEMA standpoint, they really like the buyout program because it saves them money long term from having to continue to pay out for damages. And so if cities are in a position to help offer matching dollars to buy these homes, I think that obviously helps everyone. And so That's something that I would like to try to incorporate maybe every year, every other year, just buy, buy homes where we can, where we get matching dollars.
Okay, so thank you. Well, before I ask any questions, how about the committee? Do you all have any questions on
Yeah,
this?
I think Alderman Robertson had a
Yeah,
question.
I do. So this $380,000, is that for just the 4 or 5 houses that you mentioned, or is that for all of the houses that Alderman Campbell mentioned?
What we did at the beginning is we took the value, the tax value of every house, and it totaled that up and took 25% of that, which I think is represented by that 380, that 380 number. And so, for example, whatever homes we buy, whether it's 4 or 5, we're only going to be on the hook for 25% of that. Now we have to, the way it works is we pay out the money and then we turn around and submit for reimbursement and get 75% of that back.
Are these numbers in the budget for the next fiscal year?
The resolution that we're going through, we're talking about now, allows us to use the stormwater dollars to buy. And I think, looking back 2-3 years ago, when we originally did it, the intent or the idea behind it was to use stormwater dollars to go towards the purchase of these homes. And
Yes, it was.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right, Alderman Campbell, you have a question?
I was just going to agree with Marshall that yes, it was thought of that it would be used to purchase these homes. Anything that was related to stormwater damage, stormwater utility, it was a reasonable expense for those funds. So yes, I agree.
All right. There's a couple of things that I do want to talk about. On the screen before us is 2018-31. Was this just passed? It needed 2 readings, obviously, and it was only passed on first reading.
oh, this is. Let's see. I think I may have sent you the wrong. That's Stamper. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the legislation that was a part of it. This is the.
Gotcha.
Yeah, what
This
you
is
have before you.
2024.
Yeah, that was what you were looking at before was the original resolution.
The original ordinance. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because sometimes the board does this. I don't know, just to kind of remind the committee. Sometimes we'll pass things on first reading, and then if that's the case, then the sponsor needs to be changed. It needs to be us 3 on there. So with this, it does not. The sponsors, the mayor, and so it's in good shape. We've never even voted on this yet until now.
Hold it, that's is that the right resolution for the Safely Court that we're looking at?
I'm sorry.
No, this is the
Yeah,
one for
that's
501c3s, nonprofits.
I may have not. It may not be included in here. I thought. Yeah, I may have left that out. But the resolution that and I can distribute that to the committee members. The resolution that is in question was sent to finance, and it's been to BOMA. It was on BOMA's agenda, I believe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's been to finance committee. I think it's been on the agenda for public works. We just haven't had time to get to it.
Okay.
But I can resend that out so everyone has a fresh copy of it.
All right. And who was the sponsor on it? Because if it's somebody, the sponsor, I guess, really needs to be, of course, any alderman can be on there, but it needs to be Alderman Roberson, Alderman Campbell, and myself. But if it's already passed, it doesn't matter. But if it has, it doesn't matter whether I'm on there, but by the rules of procedure, it does need to be.
Especially since that's a former alderman.
Yeah, what you have before you is an old resolution.
Okay, well, if you could just get that when are we supposed to vote on it? Do you know?
But it's already been, I believe it's already been through finance and BOMA.
And the BOMA?
I need to double check. And
Chairman Skidmore, you're the sponsor.
Yeah.
It's resolution 2020-27.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm looking at it and I swear to you, I remember it, but so many things that go through. All right, well then if it's done anything, then why in the world are we still talking about it?
Well, I think I just had, it was something on the agenda that we never could get to. And I just
Okay.
wanted to, make sure that we had a chance to, had a chance to talk about it.
All right. No votes required. You guys have already voted for it. You probably remember it more than I do. I can assure you. I do remember us vote. We voted on stuff for that so long. There's no vote that needs to be required from this committee, even though probably we look back at our previous minutes, we've probably discussed it 100,000 times.
And Mark, you may check with the mayor. The ladies from the Blue Ridge may be in the waiting room.
All right. Mayor, are you
We have
there?
in the waiting room right now.
Is the mayor?
I'm here.
Okay.
Tina, did you say they're here now?
I wouldn't say they, I have one person in the waiting room.
Okay, I think several of them are on the same phone, calling in by Zoom.
Okay.
Okay.
If we can go back to the paver situation, and I don't know, you'll have to address yourself. I'm just going to call you the ladies of Blue Ridge. Are you all, let's see. Are you all there?
I think they're connecting now.
Okay.
I'll tell you, Dorothy Ratliff, when I talked to her a second ago, she is representing the HOA board, so she can give us more information than I could, that's for sure. And I'll tell you, Dorothy is, hold on here. She has a title. Sorry, I can't find it.
That's okay.
I sort of feel like I should call and ask them if they need help, but they're using their phone to get on the Zoom call.
Well, we'll just work on until we, until they're on. And if Mayor, of course, I apologize if I offend you on this because I shouldn't.
Fine.
I think they're on. I think they're on. At least it appears.
I can see them and I'm trying to unmute them and/or request for video. Nothing is
Okay.
happening on my end, which usually tells me that they're in a poor connection or poor speed area.
Gotcha.
Says Dorothy Ratliff, no speaker, no video. If you look at her name, if you click her, bring up the participants of the thing, it just tells you what's available.
Let's just put them on the next agenda meeting, move forward. We've got a lot to cover.
We can just wait and just see what happens. The next thing on the agenda is the draft. I hate for them to drive all the way up there to the thing and not discuss it. And just hear what their views are on it, because we're still going to have to refer it or defer. Our next one was the draft of the ordinance for stormwater.
Okay. Chairman Skidmore, you want me to go? Is this mine?
No, Mayor, this is the one.
Okay.
I had staff. It's more of a housekeeping measure, but I had staff prepare just kind of a brief summary of what the changes and updates are to our ordinance.
Could you enlarge that, Marshall? Enlarge it?
Yeah.
I can't hardly read it. Thank you. Thank you.
This is more of just something that you routinely have to do every couple of years. We have to update our ordinance as a part of our MS4 program that TDEC requires, and kind of what you have before you is a kind of a brief summary of that. The document itself is much larger, but this is the highlights of kind of what changed within that.
Document itself, pardon me, the document itself is about a three-ring binder, 2-inch three-ring binder thick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's several pages, and so instead of including that, I just thought it'd be better to have a kind of a brief summary of it.
Okay.
My only feeling is this, and I don't know what the board or the committee feels like. Although I have not read the whole thing, it probably would behoove us to read the whole thing. I hate to tell you that. And we may not even have, if we've got one copy, then one person should read it. bring it back to City Hall,
Sure.
and then the other person look at it too.
Yeah,
and then-
I can send, I'll send out the, I thought I'd included, I may not included the draft, version, but I'll be sure to include the draft version of that to you.
Are we under, Marshall, any kind of serious deadline on this?
Yeah, I think we have some time. So we can, I can send that out and allow you enough time to review it.
Now, that's just my suggestion. If the other board members feel differently, we can. I mean, we could go ahead.
The only thing that stuck out at me, Marshall, is I think the staff is recommending that the Public Works Committee serve as the appeals board.
Yeah, yes.
And I want us to think about that. I'm a firm believer in getting citizens' input on these kinds of boards.
Okay.
So
I would agree.
I'm kind of leaning toward some kind of an appointment, either by the mayor with the confirmation of the board, to a 3-member appeals board made up by citizens. So that's my only thing that stuck out at me as I read your description.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Let me ask you this. I mean, that's fine with me. Listen, it doesn't bother me. If it say that committee, the person wants to appeal their decision, where does it go? To the Board of Mayor and Alderman?
I don't think it would. I think it would stop at the Public Works Committee, or it stop at the entity that is so decided to be over that. I don't know that there would be anything else they could go to.
Well, I tell you what, I think I better read this document. I'm gonna have to go up there and read, or you can send it to me.
Yeah, I can print copies. Print copies for you.
Okay.
And Chairman,
If there is no objection from committee, I think you probably need to read the whole thing. I know it's long. It's, I mean, it's just out of an abundance of precaution. I think we probably need to do that.
Absolutely. And Alderman Skidmore, I believe Miss Dorothy Ratliff and her group are on the. I believe they're on the call now.
They are. Okay, they are. All right. How about we do this?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good.
Ms. Ratliff, if you could wait just 30 seconds, and then we're going to give the floor to you guys, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, thank you. If you all can just hold just a second. If there's no objection and we don't even have to have a vote on it, we can just, on this particular issue, we can just defer it and then bring it right back when we're ready to vote on it. Is there any objection to that? Okay, no objection. We're going to refer it back until when everybody's ready. Marshall can notify and just put it back on the agenda to discuss. So there's no vote. Ms. Ratliff.
Yes,
Are you
sir.
there?
Yes, sir.
All right, it's good to see you this evening. Glad you have made time to come up to City Hall and do this. We are in the process of discussing the pavers at Blue Ridge. As I understand it, you are on the board of Blue Ridge, is that correct?
No, sir. I'm the property manager, and I have Judy Cassidy here, who's the vice president of the board. And the board has asked us to come to y'all. We have the pavers at both entrances in Blue Ridge. And as you know, the subdivision is a fairly old subdivision. It's over 30 years. And the pavers with all the heavy traffic and everything just doesn't hold up. So what we were wondering is if we could either get y'all to asphalt over the pavers, or if we took the pavers out and you guys could asphalt the entrances, we think we would get more wear and tear off of that than
Okay, I got you. Are you still there?
Are you there?
Yes, go ahead.
I thought that I'd messed up.
I do that a lot. So so what you're asking us is the two issues are, if you all could take the pavers out and we asphalt over it, or if we take the pavers out and asphalt over it. Is that correct?
Well, actually, I'm not I've never built a road, but we were even thinking, even if we just left the asphalt or the pavers there and y'all asphalted over it.
All right.
Because it's not level right now. If you go into Blue Ridge, if you've been in there recently, when you go into Blue Ridge, it dips where the pavers are. So it's really uneven right through there. So we thought, well, okay, if you could just pave the entrance and just pave right over the top of it.
I see. Okay.
Make
Well,
it nice and smooth, so when you pull into the subdivision, you're not having to stop and then try to go through. You have to slow down, really slow to go over those pavers because you're dipping.
I understand. I know exactly what you're talking about. Before I say anything more about it, any discussion by the committee members, Alderman Campbell or Alderman Roberson or Marshall Boyd? The floor is open.
Like I said, has the HOA members voted on this change?
The board has voted on the change to change it to that, and the finances of the HOA is not such that we can continue to take care of it without a special assessment. So I believe that the homeowners are on board too.
We just want to make sure your homeowners are on board. That's, take a vote of your homeowners or whatever you have to do for your HOA to make sure they're taken care of. Because at the end of the day, they are our constituents and we just want to make sure they are good. So anyways, I don't know if you can hear me good or not, ma'am. I'm sorry if you can't.
Oh, no, I hear you perfectly. And believe me, we've had enough upset in our community. We don't want to do anything that would cause an upset, but
I'm with you.
With our documents, the repair and maintenance would be our responsibility. And we definitely would seek legal opinion if the city said that it was something that they might take over, then we would seek a legal opinion on how we would draft that through the homeowners. Because if it's the board's ability to do it, then we would do it that way.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Alderman Roberson, do you have any questions?
Well, I have some questions probably to the staff. Do we have, I know that we had this situation in Glenbrook where we had to take the pavers out. It's my understanding that Glenbrook development paid for half of that work to be done. Are we aware, Marshall, of any other subdivisions in the city that have this amenity that was developed by the developer for pavers?
I don't believe there are. I don't think there are. There's none that come to mind. Glenbrook was the only other one I'm familiar with. That had any form of amenity was in the road. It's a little unusual in that we don't historically and typically we don't allow a type of amenity such as pavers or any other feature you put in the road.
That answers my question. I thank you, ladies, for coming. I hope that you understand, because of our budget situation, we have stopped all paving in the city, our supplemental paving. So for this year, for sure, we don't have any money for paving. And for next year, if the board decides to do this, it would just have to be on a priority basis. I mean, we've got some residents that are complaining, because they have potholes in their roads and they've had them for years and years. So we have to set up some kind of priority funding for these roads. But I'm, for one, would be glad to consider your request, but prioritize it based upon the other road situations all over the city. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely. We understand. What about if for some way we figure out how to do this financially and we are able to convert it to asphalt, will the city take it over then?
Well, I don't think I can answer that question. Mark, Mr. Chairman, do you know?
I was going to say, at this point, there are several things that you all have that I would suggest that you do even before we even get into some discussion about this. And this will give us both parties time to really evaluate this. One would be you need to officially send a letter to the city of Hendersonville, whether it be to Jamie Clary or the Public Works Department, Marshall Boyd, and say that your homeowners association has voted to ask the city about the pavers, because and you may have that paperwork. If you already have done that, if you would just give it tomorrow or give it to the city. But when there is a request made by a homeowners association, we have to have an official request from the homeowners association.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
so, I mean, I hate to be the one to be all the, how government's so slow in paperwork, but that's the reality of it.
Oh, no, that's fine. As long as we know the process, we want to comply. We just wanted to get the ball rolling so we could,
I see.
see what we needed to do. And I'm assuming that the roadways in the subdivision have already been accepted by the
Yes.
by the city. So I guess the only question for us is to determine if we want to get the pavers out, and if we convert it to asphalt, will the city take that too?
That would be something that when I get that letter, or what, excuse me, not when I get it, but whether the mayor gets it or the Public Works Committee as chairman and I get it, then I would go directly to John Bradley, our city attorney, and he would advise us on that.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So
we can do all that.
Okay, so to make sure, because I don't want any mess ups on our end as the city and as you all on the homeowner association, do you understand everything that we've got to do? Because if you're anything like me, sometimes somebody will tell me to do something and I look out and go, now what? Say that one more time. So
well, we understand we need to send a letter to you guys, and so we will definitely we will definitely send the letter and start the process.
okay, if you'll just send it to attention Marshall Boyd and just put Mark Skidmore down and Eddie Roberson and Pat Campbell as the alderman, and we'll take and as soon as you get it to us, we'll take a look at it. And I'll immediately go to John Bradley and ask him about that. But I just don't know. I can't answer that question this evening about whether when you all take the pavers out, it may remove liability to the city. I don't know. I'll have to ask him about that. Because like I said, this is a case of first impression. We've never done anything like this before.
Okay. Well, we'll start the process and see what everybody says.
Let me finish by making what I would like to see. If speed is of the essence, then to me, the letter from the HOA asking the city to take possession after the repairs are made would be the quickest way to get that done. If the HOA would take the pavers out and pave and then ask the city to take it over.
That is a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll work on it from our end and come back and ask y'all for help.
Yeah,
All
and
right, well, listen,
one thing I just want to point out real quick. I think it's probably already been said, but our staff will need to be involved in the repair process. Kind of what that entails. And
Okay, that's fine.
Well, as soon as we get that letter, get ready, because the city will be calling you to come forward and talk to us again, actually.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you guys for making room for us in the agenda tonight.
Hey, not a problem. Now, have we answered all your questions this evening at all that you need, or do you have any other questions of us?
I think we're good for tonight. We'll try not to drive y'all crazy over the next few months.
Don't you worry about that.
Okay, thank you.
We're already crazy, so don't worry about that.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. All right. So the next thing is
I believe it's the mayor had an agenda item about amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code concerning the stormwater utility.
Okay.
Yeah. So over the past, 2 years, I've probably gotten 4 or 5 emails and a couple other phone calls from pastors or leaders of different churches
Yeah.
concerned about the impact of their stormwater utility fee. And it's happened even more so after COVID-19 hit us, and that, our community is relying more on churches to provide some services, especially when it comes to food pantries, especially when it comes to care for our elderly. At the same time, they're not congregating, and their revenue has certainly dropped. First Baptist is one that I've heard from specifically more recently, and they've asked me a couple times. So I looked at what we have in our code as far as exemptions. We currently exempt properties that are owned by governments or government entities. We exempt people that live near, that don't take advantage of our drainage system, essentially people who back up to the lake. We exempt schools, and like I said, anything owned by government entities. So the mechanism is there to add another exemption, and it'd be very simple. I'm okay if we want to put a sunset on this. I'm okay if we, even want to do it at 50% or something like that. I just feel like we need to move on something like this, and I would prefer that we do it at 100%, and help these churches out, because they've been helping our community out significantly. That's why I brought it forward.
All right, any discussion on this by the committee members?
Yeah, I've got some questions. So
Alderman Roberson.
here, in the resolution, in the exempt property definition, it says that does not discharge stormwater runoff into stormwater or flood control facilities of the municipality. These churches and other properties actually do discharge. So would that automatically disqualify them from this exempt?
Well, there's sort of some bad punctuation in this. We're really looking at 2 different exempt properties. One is properties that are owned by federal, state, and county and city governments and their divisions. And then the other exemption are those that don't use our stormwater runoff facilities, our ditches. So it's the properties such as schools, such as city buildings, such as if there's a federal building here that do take advantage of our runoff system. Those are exempt. And then the second class are the ones that don't, and those are the ones that are on the lake, because for the most part, if you're on the lake, your drainage is heading straight to the lake and not taking advantage of our ditches or our pipes. So I looked at this also, and that we really should have a semicolon in that paragraph instead of a comma. So instead of so many commas, and that's what it is. We're looking at two different items there. One is properties that take advantage of our stormwater that are owned by governments, and the other is properties that don't take advantage. And so what I would do is just add another type of property that takes advantage of our stormwater, and those are owned by 501c entities.
Yeah, I'm a little. I don't think we can vote tonight, because I don't think that the ordinance is in proper form for us to vote on it tonight. I understand the purpose. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't. What are we to do tonight? Just to discuss it? And
well, if it's not in proper form,
to defer it.
Well, you can, or just pull it, Jamie. I mean, it's however you want to do it. And then also, I would like to know, the only thing that I would like to know, all this, this ordinance is very well taken. And in fact, we've talked about it before. And the only reason we never acted upon it is because the stormwater drainage ordinance had not been completely done yet, and it's still not. But I would like to know, and I think this would be curious, and I'm not sure if maybe the finance, not committee, but the finance department, I'd like to know how many of these properties we have in town and how much money that it really is.
Yeah.
Probably about, at least last year when Marshall sent something out, it's 120,000. Those properties have been reappraised. So it's probably in the neighborhood 130, 140,000. We've got that list. I think I attached it, maybe not, but I can get that to you again.
Okay. you don't have a problem us putting that on this agenda at our next committee, do you? I mean,
I don't, but it's already been put off a month, so I really want to make sure that we address it at the next
Okay.
meeting. And I know that there are some ministers and some church leaders that would want to speak on this. So it's not a problem if we put it off, but I know that they want to come speak on it.
okay, well, let's you've got my my word as, oh, yes, sir, Alderman Campbell.
I'd also like to just point out our stormwater utilities, just like a water line coming to the building, electric line coming to the building, telephones, internet, or any other utility that they are utilizing to operate that church. Stormwater comes and goes from the property, and the city has to deal with it. So I'm not sure if we want to do it at 100% or what might be the case, but it is something worth having a discussion and a conversation over. But I would say let's hold off right at the moment and do a little bit more thought and a little bit more conversation about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I agree with both Alderman Campbell and Alderman Robertson. We probably need to, because this is a pretty substantial, not only financially for the stormwater drainage, but also our city. So we need to kind of, one thing I've known this committee, and proud of that fact, is they take everything pretty seriously on everything that comes up. So you've got my word, Mayor, that we'll put this number 1 on the agenda, and that'll give an opportunity for you to notify, I guess, the church pastors or whomever wants to speak on it. Would that give you enough, or do we need to make it?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, because
Yeah, I appreciate it.
is that good? Now tell me if it's not.
No, we're good. We're good. Absolutely.
Okay, bud.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll move to, we'll have to have a vote on this. We'll move to defer for 1 meeting, and that'll give us as a committee and also Marshall time to look into this. Yes, sir, Marshall.
You have there's 2 hands raised, but I did want to offer a couple comments regarding this. Obviously, I was not around when we instituted the stormwater utility fee, but in doing some research, I don't know there's any for this particular fee. That I don't believe there's any exemptions that an entity can offer.
Well, see, I don't either. That's why I was going to call and talk to you about it, because I'm just not sure.
Like, for example, I know, and I think we have recently found out that they mentioned the schools don't pay a fee. And I think, well, that's a mistake on our part. They should be paying a fee. In every other city in the county, they pay a utility fee. So that's I think maybe an oversight on our part that we need to correct.
Because it's a utility.
Correct. So I think that maybe the only exemption I could possibly think of is maybe the post office, being a federal land, but like, certainly it's like schools, churches, utility districts. I know that there was some mention of those property owners on the lake. We have, for the past 2 years, we have offered those properties to be discounted, and I cannot really explain the rationale behind that, other than they're on the lake, and a portion of their property goes to the lake.
Yeah.
My thought is, moving forward, and I've talked about this with Robert, is that we don't offer, just to make it easier on staff and to take a more of a kind of a broad brush to it. We don't offer any discounts to those properties on the lake, and we just make everyone pay the $72. And also for the commercial properties, the churches, those all pay. I don't believe, I need to go back and look back. I think the formula, the way it's set up, is that the amount, I don't think it increases every year. I think it's based on a certain formula of impervious area, and that it stays constant regardless of what
that makes sense.
Yeah, we set the rate at $72 per house per year
for single family residential. Okay. And so there's some things that we need to clean up, obviously, with this. My intention is that for moving forward, before the next billing cycle goes out in October, to have all that squared away. To kind of
Mr. Chairman.
I think John Bradley has a.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in here and just say that this has nothing to do with the county appraisal of property. The county doesn't typically even appraise church property. This is a determination that was made by our consultants as to what these people were to pay based on the runoff, based on the impervious surface on a church property. So obviously the First Baptist Church has a whole lot more than some small church would have, because it's based on that. And the thinking behind it, and I looked at the MTAS model ordinance, and it does not exempt nonprofits. The thinking behind it is whether you're a church or not, just like Mr. Campbell says, you have to still pay your utilities. And this is a stormwater utility. And these large parking lots really contribute greatly to our stormwater issues. And I think Mr. Boyd is correct. I would certainly want us to look into this before it comes back, or before it's even put on the Public Works agenda again, to see if it can even legally be done under the federal law that we're operating under.
Thank you very much. That really kind of explains it about this evening. We'll probably, John, will need to have you come back and talk to us about this. Is that
I'll
going
be
to
happy to do that. I'll get with Marshall, and we'll look further into it, but that's the reason it hadn't been done before.
Okay.
Well, if we can exempt other buildings, why can't, based on what their use is and what the ownership is, why can't we exempt additional buildings based on their ownership?
Well,
I'm just saying that I don't think the federal law allows it.
But we've been doing it for
But
2 years.
we'll research it, Mike.
But we've been doing
The
it for 2 years.
way it's read, the way this thing reads now, it doesn't apply to anybody except those that don't discharge runoff. So obviously that doesn't really accomplish anything. But if you're going to start exempting those that do have runoff, we've got to make sure that we can do it without running afoul of the federal legislation. If you recall, we were forced to do this by the federal government, and we had to get special legislation passed by the Tennessee General Assembly to put it on our property tax cards. We cannot charge penalties. We cannot charge interest. We cannot charge any sort of a fee except the actual stormwater fee. So we're sort of left at the mercy of the nonprofits, because they don't pay, the ones that don't pay property tax, we have no mechanism to enforce it, but we do send them a bill. The finance department sends them a bill, as I understand it, for this amount.
Do we send a bill to the school system? Because Marshall said that right now that might be a mistake.
That's correct.
Marshall, if you can address that, Marshall, I think everyone in the county pays it except Hendersonville. Is that right, Marshall?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that needs to be fixed.
Right. It needs to be fixed. Yeah.
Where are we on an appeals board?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to address that, Alderman Hayes.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Not a problem. But let's stick.
Three minutes left, Mark, to finish.
How much? How many minutes?
3 minutes.
All right. Let's defer this until our next meeting and put it on a priority. As far as Alderman Hayes, you asked about the appeals board. That's on a different matter, a different ordinance. We have put that off, deferred it until every of the committee, Pat Campbell and myself and Alderman Roberson have actually read the ordinance, because it's very lengthy, and out of an abundance of precaution, we decided to want to read the thing before we passed it, because it's that important. So that's where we are on it. So nothing has been done. To answer your question, nothing has been done on the appeals board.
Okay.
Not anything at all. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've got about, and Mayor, we're going to put this first on the agenda at our next committee meeting. Marshall, what else do we have on the agenda?
Let's see. Well, yeah, I'll pick the easiest first. The 2020 Build Chrissy grants. We have applied for both those federal grant programs to assist with funding on the Sonnetsville Road project. We submitted on the Build grant several weeks ago, and then we followed up last week with the submittal to the Chrissy grant. And there's two different kind of areas within the FHWA, but we're hoping, crossing our fingers, that we can get at least one of those to assist with that project. And obviously the other, Andy, the cell tower discussion, is that something quick you can kind of go over? Or yeah, unmute yourself.
on his thinking cap.
I can discuss it, or I can send an email. Alderman Robertson wanted me to discuss that.
Okay.
I guess all I was wanting, Andy, it seems that we're making progress on that, and that it's going to come to fruition, hopefully the late summer or early fall, correct?
They are scheduled to start construction in mid-July, deliver the tower in August, and hopefully be through with construction by early fall. They stated that they had 2 vendors already with a lease. They didn't say which ones.
So that the cell tower starts what, in July
Supposed
or
to start
August?
construction in July. Yes, sir.
All right, good. All right, did anybody have any other questions on that or the Build Chrissy grant application?
No.
All right. We've got 1, 2, 3, maybe possibly 4 issues left. We're
Yeah.
probably not going to be able to make, but we really did good tonight, guys.
Mr. Chairman, I've got one thing that I want to let the board know.
Yes.
Under other business.
Yes.
I intend, based upon the committee recommendation of the Solid Waste and Recycling Board, I intend to refile a petition or a resolution on recycling that I will ask to be put on the Public Works agenda for the next meeting. I will send, John Bradley has already approved it in legal form, so I will be sending it out to the committee within the next couple of weeks. So you'll have plenty of an opportunity to review it for our next meeting of the Public Works Committee.
Okay, thank you. That will be our last discussion for tonight. Just want to have one thing. Do we need Marshall? I guess you can't really say whether we can or not until we read the recycling service options discussion. Do we need to go over that before we look at entertain Alderman Roberson's ordinance?
Well, I think kind of by default, we're sort of only left with one option.
Okay.
And so I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll put his third on the agenda. We'll go with the stormwater drainage, then recycling, and then Eddie's resolution. How's that sound?
Sounds good. So,
does anybody have a problem with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Listen, you all have done wonders tonight. We'll leave it there, and we did everything except 4 issues, so that's not bad at all. And I thank everybody, and I guess I'll see you guys in about an hour to go over the budget.
Mr. Chairman, could we ask Marshall to give us a written report, an update on the synchronization, the light synchronization?
Yeah, I can email that out.
Thank you.
Yeah, as my understanding, we were waiting on TDOT, so I don't know.
It's on the ball's in our court now to get our part done, and then we'll go back to TDOT
purchases.
Okay, good. Well, send us an email on that.
We'll do it.
Yep.
All right, everybody. We'll see.
Motion to
If there's
adjourn.
no discussion, I'll need a motion, and we'll have a vote.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. There's been a proper motion, a proper second. We don't discuss it. We just vote. So all in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
Alderman Roberson.
Aye.
The chair votes aye as well. We'll adjourn, and I'll see you guys in about an hour. Then we'll be sure to bring your popcorn.
Thank you.
See y'all. Good night, and I'll see you in about an hour.
Bye-bye.